From Justin Muturi abduction scandal.
I would just say bring it on,
To GenZ body recovered. Is he serious?
Kenyans are such an indisciplined lot.
Family fights for father's release.
Mimi siendi. Kitu nasema sirudi Nairobi kama sijapata haki yangu. Kama nitakaa 1 wiki kwa hii gari na wala siendi.
Anguka na.
We are coming for you. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to ShowNewTrend. I'm Yusuf today and my name is Elvis Diri. Abductions is still happening in Kenya. It's still taking place in Kenya without shame. Without shame, even from the international audience. And Wajakoya, he has come out and said that anytime you see someone being abducted, Kenyans, take matters into your own hands. That's not what he had to say.
Shikeni hawa watu. Either wapeleke polisi, wakiwa na bunduki, apply force. Restrain them. Washikwe, wapelekwe, na kama anataka kuleta nuks, wachapwe. That's the only way out, because tuko na serikali ambayo inatakana kulinda watu. Hapa watu wanasema ati enda waandike statement kwa polisi, kama umeona vile wameambia Muturi hapa ati kama alikuwa na hiyo maneno aandike statement kwa polisi. Unaenda kuandika statement, hao wameshika mtoto wako, hataki kujitambulisha, unaenda kama kuwachezea muziki ile kuchezea mbuzi gitaa. Unajua mbuzi ni burukenge. Come on, if it's me, deal with the situation the way it comes as a soldier. Because mahali tumefika, mbona hatujakuwa hapa siku zingine? Wakati wa Moi tulikuwa na hiyo, dunia ikasaidia because of the Cold War. Saa hizi tuko na Rais Ruto, watu wananyongwa, watoto watu wanapigwa, wanashikwa, wanatekwa nyara. Serikali ni yake, sio ya mtu mwingine.
I'm still wondering, like many other people out there who are still wondering, where are the missing abductees? Where are those men and women who have been abducted? Those GenZs who have been abducted, who are still missing till date? Where are they and how are they surviving? Bernard Kavuli, who was abducted, later on released, he came out and said that he saw approximately 32 people being held in a single room.
For those who do not understand Kikamba, what Kavuli Bernard was saying in the interview that he had during his homecoming party at home in Ukambani was, he was taken to the first place, he stayed for 5 days, he was only given water twice. Very dark room. He was beaten twice a day, clothless, naked. Then they were taken to another place inside the forest. And there, he says he saw Muteti, and there were many young people. He estimates that there could have been 32 of them who were held there captives in the middle of a forest. And they also
a man by the name of Mr. Hilary Gichuki, who was allegedly wrongfully arrested and remanded at Kirale prisons for a whole year, Kenyans, for a whole year without being presented to court. His family, the Mziza family, they went on to campaign for their father's release. And I'm just wondering, is it possible under the Kenyan laws to arrest somebody and imprison them for a whole year without trial, without being presented to court? Is this not illegal? Is this not holding somebody hostage? Just take a look.
Pesa 1400 ikawa nikazunguzwa hivyo tena ni Oshioro akiwa huku. Then unaweza wekea mtu pesa aje. Na hizo jina. Unasikia venye anasema. Huyo ndio nataka aje. Inatoa Kevin. Tunaitumia saa hii. Inatoa Kevin. Huyo ajeri mimi ndio nataka. Ndio nikukilipa pesa kama ni kweli. Tujue ajeri na Hilary walikuwa na uhusiano gani? hata itoi Angeline inatoa.
Na mbona huyu mama hakuendea Angeline mwenye alimwekea?
Anasema hakuenda. Ndio hapo ndio nafikia. Na hapo ndio nilitisiwa na polisi. Nilikuja anikafanyiwa hivi na polisi mwenye alimleta alinifanyia hivi.
Lazima ifike.
Hata niulize statement ya. Sina haki. Hapana. Hiyo imenichokeza ama
mwaka mzima
mpaka hapa.
Mmoja tu.
Niende nikajikalise.
Mmoja tu angoje aujue na probation ndio apewe nini?
Mimi siedi. Kitu nasema sirudi Nairobi kama sijapata haki yangu. Kama nitakaa 1 wiki kwa hii gari na wala siendi. Naendelea sistahili. Siendi. Tunaenda huko. Hata mkitunyima nini ya kukaa, tuendi. Mimi wala siwezi enda. Nikakae wapi na watoto wangu? Nikakae wapi?
Mwaka mzima kila
kitu ya kukula. Saa zingine unasikia ipo kumpe ati mtoto anaisija. Mimi kazi iliza nikitafutia huyu alikuwa juzi, huyu ni mzaa alizaa juzi. Mtoto atafikisha miezi 2 na niko na mtoto mwingine. Hiyo nayo hapana. Then tulisimama kwa koti nikasitizia bwana yangu hiyo statement bwana ilitolewa juzi. Alikuja kunifanyia hivi ati hata niitisie bwana yangu statement. Kwa nini? Atukue pia huyu aweke hapo.
The young people of Kenya, the Gen Zs, have been very vocal and holding the government accountable. But it clearly seems like the government has tried abductions and even worse, killing to shut down the young people, to shut down the Gen Zs, but it has all failed miserably. Force will not work on the young people. What we want is accountability, good governance, and a better future for this country. Listen to what Kevin Ayodi had to say.
But I want to tell the government one thing. They have tried abductions, they have tried all this killing of the young people. Has anything changed? No, nothing has changed. Okay. So what are we saying? We are saying that the force does not work with these young people. Can we try to figure out something that we can use to make these young people behave? Right now we are seeing when you attack them, the more they become disobedient. Okay. They start coming up with cartoons and everything that upsets you. So what does that show you? Let's come up with an alternative way to see how we can calm down these young people. Because if this behavior continues, like she said, when the police comes maybe to arrest someone, these people will come and burn the cars and do everything. We don't want to get to that point.
It has started already.
Yes, it has already started.
People, when they say anyone trying to be arrested,
exactly,
they call it abduction.
And you know how police behave. So if such a fight starts between the police and the citizens, that's when they start shooting people to defend themselves, to defend their own. So we don't want to go to this stage whereby now the citizens decide to torture police vehicles, resisting arrest, themselves. Actually resisting legal arrest, thinking that it's abduction. Okay. So what we are saying is that let this government come up with strategies whereby they can listen to the views of Gen Zs, because they have demonstrated that when Gen Z speak something negative, they get it. That's why you see they speak the funeral. But when they are criticizing something useful, they tell you we don't want this in the finance bill, we don't want this, we don't want. They don't hear that. They don't. In fact, yes.
So Kenyans, do you think it's high time that the President of Kenya, William Ruto, should be arrested and charged for all these happenings that is taking place in this country? Listen to what Jeremiah Kayoni had to say about this.
It's been confirmed here by Muturi that the abductions were really under his command, because he's the one who made the call and the young man was released. So if your son or daughter is released and you cannot get hold of William Ruto, what does that mean to us? We are on our own. When we have the likes of Sudi, Kamket, Kimani Ichung'wa, and Farah Marin, allowing the utterances that we have heard from their mouths in the presence of William Ruto, and to the amusement of him, William Ruto, kwa sababu yeye ndio alikuwa anapiga makofi kuliko wananchi wanapotukana watu. It means that the center is not holding. And we as Kenyans must heed the call that has been made by our leader. And we must prepare to do what the South Africans, the people of South Korea, have done. It is time for us to go and arrest William Samoei Ruto from State House, because we are on our own. Hakuna kitu kingine tunangojea, na hakuna Mkenya anangojea kuambiwa Ruto ni mbaya. Wanajua ni mbaya kukuliko wewe mwenyewe. Hakuna jambo unaweza sema kwamba anaweza saidia sisi nalo. It is upon us to organize ourselves and get Ruto home. As leaders, na sisi wote wa Kenya.
Kenyans, abductions have become a national crisis, and different people are using different forums like churches to speak against abductions in Kenya. Let's take a look at this.
You know, when Vika was talking about abductions, because this is something that has also disturbed me a lot as a parent, as a Kenyan, as a brother. But no, I just thought about it and said, the people who are planning it and even executing it, you know, there are people who could be in our neighborhoods. There are people who live amongst us. Some of them are relatives, friends. Some even come to church on Sunday. And as they walk out, they've just abducted. I mean, that's how sad it is, causing so much pain and grief among families. You can imagine if it's your child who has been abducted. Then the people who are responsible, they throw it back to us and say, we as parents are the ones to blame, you know. Somebody causes it, then they are blaming you. Yet we know that the same people who are saying that our children are indisciplined are the ones who are indisciplined. They are the ones who are stealing, causing so much mayhem in the country. So even as we continue praying, let's pray for this dark, evil spirit in them to be exorcised.
Even a man from Kisumu had a very strong message to the President of Kenya about what is currently taking place in this country. Just listen to what he had to say.
President Ruto, uwache kukua peti. We have so many things unafaa udeal nazo. Wachana na vitu vyenye MCA anafaa fuatilie kijijini. You are bigger than this thing. Show your wisdom kulingana na uwezo uliopatiwa na Mwenyezi Mungu kukaa mahali ulipo. Kulingana na mimi, story na abduction haifai. Iwapo kuna makosa mtu amefanya, kuna protocol inafaa ifuatiliwe ili haki ipatikane. Dan kushika mtu, uende mtese, umuue, wazazi wamemsomesha. Sasa mtoto wa miaka 20, Ruto ako na miaka 60. Tofauti yenu ni gani kama mnafanya kitu inafanana? Kulingana na mimi, you are a parent, you are a leader and you are a president. Fanya vitu kulingana na umri wako na hekima yako.
Even some politicians are not safe from abduction. Justin Muturi, who is the Public Service Cabinet Secretary, he went to Kilimani police station to record a statement regarding the abduction of his son during the anti-government protest in June 2024.
So Nuruddin Haji calls in Muturi to make a statement about his son, and Muturi ends up exposing all of them. Kwani, I think these guys are possessed. At this point, they're making such blunders, such childish blunders, kindergarten blunders. The blunders you make in training school and you get like a D or an F or an E minus. Because what the hell, now we know they're behind the abductions. And I'm telling you, family, the only thing Nabi's government cares about is their international reputation. And they don't realize, because of the way they behave, Nairobi is the center of the spy world. There's so many spies from all over just roaming in Nairobi. So they're not relying on PR stunts. They're getting the information qua ground. So what is the game plan?
While Justin Muturi, the Public Service Cabinet Secretary, was writing his statement at Kilimani police station, he came out and said that Nuruddin Haji was responsible for his son's abduction. Later on, Raila Amolo Odinga, the former Prime Minister of Kenya, he said that Nuruddin Haji is a huge threat to justice, rule of law and accountability. Just listen to this.
Kenya Kwanza regime is hell-bent on proceeding to unilaterally and single-handedly reconstitute the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. This comes against the backdrop of the earlier illegal forcing out of 4 commissioners who disagreed with Mr. Fuller Chebukati over the presidential election results. A biased and partisan IEBC is being put in place. Kenyans know what such a commission has done to this country before.
After Justin Muturi wrote his statement and revealed the dirty secrets that is currently taking place in this country, some politicians were not happy. Like Member of Parliament, Member of Parliament Marianne Kitany. She went on to threaten Justin Muturi, saying that she will move a censure motion against him in Parliament.
Kama mtoto alikuwa abducted, alafu akarilisiwa, kuna kitu inaitwangwa kwenda kuripot kwa police station. kutoka hiyo miezi 6 tangu siku hiyo aliyekuwa abducted na kurudishwa mpaka saa hii hujaenda kuripoti kwa police station. Unataka nani akufanyie hiyo kazi? You are the minister for public, meaning hao watu wote in short wana report kwako. Ukikuja kwa media kutuambia kwa press na wewe ndio minister ya hao watu, hiyo ni kusema nini? Si umekosa kazi yako? Umeshindwa na kazi? So bado unafanya nini kwa hiyo ofisi? Wewe ujiuzulu, kuja ongea huku nje kama raia mwema. Ushike microphone kama raia mwema ukiongelesha ukigonga hiyo serikali. Lakini huwezi gonga serikali ukiwa ndani yake. Haiwezekani. Kama huwezi heshimu serikali yenye unaifanyia kazi. Mimi kama mjumbe kazi yangu ni kitu inaitwa oversight. Ninakuambia wewe ujiuzulu, na usipojiuzulu mimi nitapeleka motion bunge ya kusensha wewe.
Apart from Aldai Member of Parliament, Marian Kitan threatening Justin Muturi, even Sylvanus Osoro was not left behind. He came and gave Justin Muturi 10 days. It's either to resign, apologize, or be impeached. Just listen to this.
Justin Muturi, ile kiboko tulipiga Gachagua ndio inakuja kwako. You resign ama nikutoe. Vile tuna resume bunge, because tuko na siku 14 ndio to resume bunge. Justin Muturi, you have 3 options. Ya kwanza, resign. Ya pili, apologize. To ignore your maneno. Ya tatu, we impeach you. Tuna collect signatures. Uende nyumbani. You cannot serve the government of Kenya yenye unalima kila siku. Ati yo maneno namna hii. Sani yako anashikwa akifanya ukora, unasema ni abduction. Na wewe sani yako alipatikana kwa bar na vitu zingine za kufuta sijui nini, akashikwa. Fundisha mtoto wako maadili bwana. Wacha ajipange pole pole. It can't be that the only people complaining are from one region. It can't be. Mpaka ma CSS mumongezewa. Leo vetting inafanywa ya CSS kutoka mlima. Na sisi tumenyamaza tu. Unafikiria tuko happy?
Despite Kenyans, despite Justin Muturi's son being abducted and also being threatened that he's going to be impeached in parliament, just listen to the response of the Public Service Cabinet Secretary, Justin Muturi.
I would just say bring it on. At my age, I'm not the kind of person to respond to some of it is really very perfunctory statement made by fairly inexperienced politicians. I think they're not worthy my response. So if anybody thinks that I don't know what I'm doing, then they are up for a rude shock.
Many Kenyans are asking themselves, why did Justin Muturi take 6 months, 6 good months to make this issue public? And how was he trying to solve it? Listen to this.
Na hiyo kulikuwa na hizo habari kwamba mtoto wa Justin Muturi alitekwa nyara. Na ilikuwa ukweli, sio uongo. Lakini ile kitu ambayo watu wanajiuliza, mbona imemchukua miezi 6 kuongea? Mbona imemchukua miezi 6? Lakini ukisoma vizuri hiyo statement yake, yeye anasema kwamba hiyo muda yote alikuwa anajaribu kuuliza maswali ndani ya serikali, kuuliza wahusika ili apate majibu. Kulingana na mimi naona ni kwamba vile anavyoeleza ni kwamba alikuwa anataka kuresolve hiyo issue internally but like there was no cooperation from those who are concerned. Ndio imemchukua hii muda baada ya yeye kukosa kupata majibu akaona aongee. Mimi kulingana na mimi sioni siasa hapo, ingawaje pia hiyo kitu inaweza kuwa kwamba Justin Muturi anataka kuitumia kisiasa kwa sababu hajajiuzulu. Nafikiri anangoja rais amfute, kwa sababu rais akimfuta atapata some sympathy kutoka kwa watu wake huko Embu. Nafikiri hiyo ndio kitu anataka kuvuna kidogo kisiasa kutoka kwa hili swala, ingawaje aliadhirika. Hivyo ndio mimi ninaona.
Kenyans, remember Justin Muturi, this is a minister serving in the government, talking about abduction, also giving his own experience. So I'm just asking myself, like if a minister, a man who is serving in the government, can can be a victim of abductions. What about you?
The headlines in all our papers today are Justin Muturi. All, including Business Daily. And what he said, this is a minister serving in a government talking about abductions and giving his own experience. We raised that issue here in the newspaper hour and we asked, why now? He was Attorney General. At the time his son was abducted. The son was released 6 months plus down the line. We now hear him. So is it a convenient time? And was it that in a previous time it wasn't convenient for him to speak about these things? Now, everyone and their uncle and cousin and grandmother have spoken on the subject of abductions, including our relatives from outside this country and outside our borders. It's an issue that young people have raised, civil society have raised. It has flooded the so-called media, social media spaces. It is everywhere. So one could argue he has come into the conversation, we hear him, but he has come into the conversation when people have been having it for a very long time. That's why the subject of, is it a convenient time? Not to diminish that he has spoken, no. Not to diminish that his son was abducted and he and the family must have gone through some serious turmoil. That's not it. The question of why now is what we were asking. Why now? Why didn't he speak earlier? Remember, you're talking about a subject matter that people have unrelentingly spoken about. Even today, they speak about it. They speak about it every single day.
Despite says Muturi taking 6 good months to reveal his son's abductions, his sentiments must not be taken lightly, and he's passing a very crucial message. Like, abduction has been a daily occurrence in the Republic of Kenya. And let me tell you, Kenyans, it is time to fight back. Just listen to this.
When a system or a government subjects the masses through what we call political oppression, social degradation, and economic exploitation, the only option is resistance. As in, let me tell you, not unless those 3 things are taken keen into, we will always go into the same cycle of violence, of mistrust from the citizens, of misunderstandings between the citizens and the government, and it won't end there. But the worst thing is, growth is a gradual process. If you look at what we were discussing 2 years ago on what might come and what is happening today, it's growing by the day. Now look at this issue you're talking about today. You're talking of abductions. Now today we're just seeing there's a video trending where a police officer was arresting someone in Nakuru. And now the citizens are saying, hey, huyu hamumchukui.
Yes. Yeah.
And let me tell you, what happens is when you have a government, when you have top leaderships in a country who don't follow the rule of law, then how do you expect the normal citizens to follow the rule of law?
Yeah.
So we are going down that road of lawlessness. It's seriously and honestly sad, to an extent where you see a very senior government official like the former Attorney General, who is a sitting cabinet secretary, state clearly in a press conference yesterday that even his son was abducted. He sits in what we call the National Security Security Committee. That is the senior most security organ in the country. That is where all the critical decisions are made. And the people who sit there are very few top people: the president, the deputy president, the director of National Intelligence Service, the director of the police IG, the Attorney General. Very few selected top security people in the country. And he says he could not be able to ascertain who had abducted his child.
And talking more about abductions, Thika Road was blocked at Ruiru after a body was found inside a river. And the demonstrators were saying that this body is a victim of abductions. Let's take a look at how things unfolded.
Nini ameshika?
A senior counsel and a former member of parliament, Abdikadir Mohani, he discussed and gave his honest opinion on why the Gen Zs are being abducted in Kenya. Just listen to what he had to say.
The only difference now is that the Gen Z are engaged and that the Gen Z are the target. The reason why they are target, we all know, is because they have become politically active.
Yeah.
Which is why it's absolutely no-brainer who is behind the abductions. And to be straight, it's the government of Kenya. That is government operatives who are behind this. There's zero doubt about that. But the reason why they are the target now is because they are doing important stuff. If they were worried about their Instagram stuff and nobody would bother with them, nobody would abduct them. They are doing important stuff, and the abductions is to scare them off. The reason why they are being targeted is because they are doing important work. And because they are the ones who are engaged, I can assure you the government is very scared right now. And the pushback is very important. Even that guy who you said don't do it.
The fact that he's saying don't do it.
3 years ago, nobody, they would stop at the middle of the streets and people will pick somebody and nobody would bother. In fact, if anything, they would help do that stuff. So I think absolutely they are doing a great job. You said it's the evolution. We have to continue evolving to the point, because between me and you, it's actually stupid for whoever thinks that kidnapping people or killing people will solve anything.
Yeah.
This abduction issue in Kenya has now gone internationally. Even the BBC, they decided to make a story about abductions in Kenya. Let's take a look at their version of the story.
Since June 2024, young people in Kenya critical of the government have gone missing. The Kenya Human Rights Commission says more than 80 people have been abducted in the last 6 months, with 24 still missing.
Some even say that they were waterboarded, hit with whips, punched, kicked. It was full scale of torture. They say they were security agencies because the line of questioning related to what the government appeared to be afraid of. So they were being asked, for example, who is funding your protests? Why are you protesting?
24-year-old Billy Mwangi is one of the people who went missing. He returned home 15 days after he was abducted from a barber shop by hooded men in unmarked vehicles.
When you hear your son was forcefully burdened into a car, you start now getting worried, because I remember when the mother got news, she collapsed. The boy has not shared a lot. When he came, he was not his real self. And as we speak, he is still healing from that shock.
The abductions started in June 2024 after a nationwide protest led by young people against the proposed tax hikes, corruption, and poor governance.
The reasons for abduction is simple. The government is afraid of accountability. The government is afraid of responding to critical questions that Kenyans have been asking.
I haven't authoritatively confirmed that it is a government who abducted that boy, but investigations are still ongoing. The abductors, I think they are trained, they are skilled, but I can assure you he was not abducted by any ordinary person.
The Kenya government has denied any involvement in the abductions. Kenya's head of police and the director of criminal investigations have twice ignored court summons to explain the abductions. For Billy, the road to recovery begins.
Billy is a young man who is so disciplined, and as at now, he has not restored that picture of himself. So he's still healing, let me say so.
The abductions have caused outrage across the country. Parents and activists say they will continue to campaign until all are released.
Another member of parliament by the name of Kiare John, we all remember him during the GenZ protests. He came out and said that those images that you're seeing on the internet are photoshopped. This member of parliament, this politician, he has come back again with another bombshell. He has made a very reckless and careless statement about abductions in Kenya. Just listen to what he had to say.
Yes, there are issues that could be pointing a finger at the police. In the same breath, there are people who have been reported and sensationalized online for a whole weekend, only to turn up that they had traveled to a different county or a different town to go and see a boyfriend or a girlfriend, which is also a fact. But the point I wanted to make was beyond
What is
that.
factual about that?
Yeah?
What is factual about traveling to see their boyfriends or girlfriends?
But they had been reported as missing.
Who?
And we had even cases where we had people who were even sensationalized on social media that this is a massive missing person, and it was mistaken to be a case of abduction.
What is the
and you even reported?
What is the
it on media.
example?
Well, there is a lady who disappeared for an entire weekend, and it turned out that they had gone to see a boyfriend in a city that was different from where they live.
Is that what she recorded with the DCI?
Is what is that? I have no idea what she has recorded.
So why are you
with the
pointing
DCI.
that out as an example?
Okay, let's give them.
Even our own soldiers are having a hard time, Kenyans. Like some of them have been taken to Somalia and other countries to fight terrorism under harsh conditions. One Kenyan soldier who went to Somalia to fight, then he was captured. And he was captured for a quite number of years. And he was never released. Just listen to this sad story.
Mimi ni mfungo wa kivita, niko mkononi mwa Al-Shabaab.
So that initially looked like just another propaganda video by the Al-Shabaab. But now the family of Abdullahi Issa Ibrahim has reached out to me and confirmed that that is their dad. Wanaomba hiyo video in the viral. Why? Now, walikuwa initially budao amededi hadi wakafanya burial. Kwa nini? Now allegedly the military guys have a rule that if a soldier goes missing for over 5 years anakuwa declared dead. But jana, out of nowhere, on a random TikTok page, wanaona budao akisema mazejo mi bado niko Somalia, nimeshikwa, and if possible the Kenyan government should come for me. They are now asking the public to make that video go viral. This is the page in the video eco. If you get the right people, so that their dad can come back home.
So Kenyans, do you think that all systems in Kenya have already collapsed? And do you think that the men and women who should be protecting the people of Kenya and fighting and seeking justice have turned their backs on the people? Let's listen to what Ismbanya had to say.
The image of DCI in this country has completely gone to the dogs. Completely. It will take a miracle to have, that entire system cleansed. I don't know what man of corruption got in there. They use our officers as abductors, as kidnappers. Unasikia even at the highest level. Mtoto wa Justin Muturi. Wenye walipanga walikuwa huko juu. These high ranking officers at the DCI branch. My God. Where are we heading? Where are we headed as a country? Manzi Ruto ameharibu every system in this country. He found working systems. All of them are corrupted to the core right now. I don't think we have one working system we can trust in this country. In less than 2 years, and just 2 years, everything gone.
If you dig deeper and ask yourself, what is the actual reason for abductions in Kenya? Because this is getting out of hand. Like, we cannot keep on losing our people. We cannot keep on losing the Gen Zs being abducted. And some of them, their bodies are found in rivers. For how long? Listen to what the Villager 254 had to say about this.
By the way, did you sit for a moment and think why the government and all politicians are against the Gen Zs and the millennials? Let me give you facts. Number one, we've always been told that the leadership of tomorrow is belongs to the youth. Now, the people we had planned to rule them for 100 years have suddenly woken up and they can no longer be ruled by us. Therefore, we want them to lie low like an envelope and they allow us to rule them. Apparently, the Gen Z and the millennials are taking up leadership, and this is the biggest problem that Ruto never anticipated and his political charlatans never anticipated. Now, this is the problem. The youth are taking over.
Unlike the Dadaab Member of Parliament, Farah Maalim, who said that if he was given power, he would have killed 5,000 Gen Zs. Another traitor, another betrayer, another backstabber by the name of Kasabwel Makore, he came out again to abuse Kenyans. And just listen to what this, just take a look.
Kenyans are such an indisciplined lot. One, they come for protests late. Two, they don't want to take accountability. But they don't want you to take charge either. This thing requires discipline. It requires total commitment. It requires, people just love typing this, that it requires eternal vigilance.
Apart from the Tanzanian activist by the name of Maria Sarungi Tsehai, who she was abducted in Kenya just recently. Do you guys remember when Kizza Besigye, a high-ranking politician from Uganda, was abducted in Kenya and taken back to Uganda? Like, if a high-ranking official, government official, a politician or an activist can be abducted in Kenya, do you think that you are safe? Do you think that we are safe in this country? And so many other people have been abducted. Foreigners who are seeking asylum in this country, seeking refuge in this country, that are being abducted, and some of them, they end up losing their lives. Let's listen to Yvonne Okwara's take.
So you want to tell me that Ugandan security officials had the knowledge that Kizza Besigye was walking around in Nairobi, particularly in the Riverside area, dangerously armed. Not only were they aware of this, they trailed him and then arrested him in Kenya and transported him across the border, only to be presented before a Ugandan military court. All of this without the Kenyan government knowing what the Ugandan sleuths were up to? Wow. So what else are they doing in this country that we may not be aware of? In fact, might there be any other foreign security officials or mercenaries, for that matter, wandering about here like children in a plantation looking to pick guavas to eat? Further, assuming that this information may have some merit, isn't this a Kenyan territorial issue? A dangerously armed man is in the country. Isn't that a matter for us to deal with? To be specific, seeing as he was supposedly found somewhere around Riverside in Nairobi, shouldn't that be a matter for the Kilimani Police Division to deal with? I imagine it would be the Kilimani Division police officers to conduct the investigation and the arrest, present him in a Kenyan court, and then inform Uganda that they're holding their national. Folks, this whole incident smells off. And this is because this is not the first incident of this nature that we've witnessed in the country. You see, exactly 1 month ago, the Kenyan government abandoned the principle of non-refoulement when 4 Turkish nationals were abducted and deported back to their country. The Foreign Affairs Ministry says this was at the request of the Turkish government for the 4 individuals who had been recognized by the UN as refugees. To boot, Kenya adopted a Pontius Pilate stance, saying they did not want to get involved in the affairs of another country. That's not all. Remember Ethiopian national Samson Tekla Michael, who was abducted and has been missing in this country for 3 years now? And don't forget that in August 2022, or later in that year, Pakistani journalist Arshad Sharif fled his country, sought refuge in Kenya, following death threats over his reporting on corruption. How wrong he was. He was shot and killed in Kajiado County. These incidents do not bode well for Kenya's territorial integrity. They erode our standing in the eyes of the international community. All of this, by the way, even as Kenyans themselves get abducted within their own country. If we're not careful, Kenya could soon be known as the abduction capital of the world. That's my take.
Do you guys remember these photos of the president which has been trending on the internet? It seems like the politicians, the government, they don't understand the real and true meaning and definition of these photos. And if you also don't understand the meaning, just listen to this.
We have seen people who have been told not to do this and they are doing that. Why? Because Kenya has become like a rehabilitation to everyone. We have seen people, like we saw the president, saying that we were not supposed to post those things that we have posted. But let me tell you, we are not burying the president. We are only burying the character in him. We are burying the bad characters that are happening in our government. We have seen people who have been abducted. We have seen people who have been going through a lot of problems in Kenya.
This clearly shows you that the politicians are afraid of this.
In the book of Paul, Paul said that it's better the day you die as a good man than the day you are born. Are we together? Just go and look in history. All dictators in the world, you can tell them anything. You can tell them stop Adani, they will close their ears. You can tell them we don't want vaccination, they will close their ears. You can tell them we don't want finance bill, they will close their ears and wacheni porojo, and they will tell you wacheni porojo. But dare tell the dictators that they are going to die. That is the worst thing you'll ever tell a dictator.
This issue has gotten so serious in Kenya. Even one Kenyan man is urging the Kenyans in diaspora to take action.
This one is for Kenyans in the diaspora. Tafadhalini, wherever you are, whether it's UK, Europe, USA, guys, we have groups, we have WhatsApp groups. Let's unite. Tushirikiane, let us brainstorm, let tuchange, let's do all we can to make sure that this brutal dictator by the name William Samoei Ruto, we get rid of him within the shortest time possible. God bless you all. God bless Kenya.
Despite the challenges that Kenyans are facing each and every day, the people are still injecting, and they're injecting mercilessly, and they're injecting in different forms, fighting for good governance and a better future for this country. Take a look at some of these kids from Kenyans who are remaking and reacting the abductions scenes.
But a spokesman,
no, I'm not taking any questions.
Someone is literally
Who's
being
abducting people?
These police are taking.
No, there's no police abduction. What do you mean? Abel, just tell her that you're not the police. What does she mean? No, this is not the police. This is the NIS.
What a spokesman!
Burkina Faso ya noma san ya sida Faso noma. Burkina Faso ya noma san ya sida Faso ya na tenga noma
Kasongo yeye Mombali nanga Kasongo mbona wewe Songa
Thank you so much for joining us on today's show. I'm your host, Elvis Derry. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.